The couple walked quickly up the path of the orphanage to the front door. When they got there, they put the basket they were carrying on the floor in front of the door. They took a quick look around them to see if anyone was looking, and then rang the doorbell. Without stopping to see if anyone came to answer, they both took off running down the street as though their lives depended on it. The door was opened by a kind-looking lady. She took one look at the note on top of the basket and sighed. The note read, "This baby is far too pretty for us. Please take care of her. Thank you." You're probably thinking that you can't believe any parent would do that to their own child. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened to me. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on any crazy story like this one. I can't say that I was unhappy growing up in the orphanage. Well, I didn't know any different, did I? As they say, you can't miss what you've never had. But I always felt that something was missing from my life. The people at the orphanage took great care of me. I always had hot meals and a comfy bed. I had everything that I needed, but I didn't have my parents. The lady who had taken me in all those years ago had told me what had been written on the note. I just couldn't understand why my parents couldn't look after me. I mean, it's not really a good enough reason, is it? It just didn't make sense to me that they couldn't look after me because I was too pretty. Some days, I would imagine that my parents would come knocking on the door and tell me it had all been a bit of a mistake. But that day never came. As the years went on, I stopped myself from thinking about that scenario because it hurt too much. But they were right about me being pretty. I mean, I was a cute baby, but by the time I had turned 15, I was stunning. I was easily the prettiest girl in my school, and possibly in the whole town. I think I have been asked out by almost every boy in my school. To be honest, it became boring. I dated a few boys at first, but then I got bored. It's not exciting when you know you can get any boy you want. Plus, I know they only want to date me because I'm pretty. I wanted someone who was interested in me. So I threw myself into my work. I began to do modeling work when I was about 7 years old. I had been spotted while shopping by a scout from one of the local modeling agencies. He had given me his card and asked me to go along for a meeting. They signed me up there and then. I had photo shoot after photo shoot. I was wanted by everyone. After a while, it began to get really tiring. I never seemed to have any time to myself. I couldn't hang out with my friends at the weekend or after school because I always had a job to do. At school, I would sometimes hear my friends complaining about their lives.
Ugh, my mom is so annoying. All she does is get on me, do the dishes, pick your clothes up, help me with the laundry. God, I hear you. My mom is exactly the same. You know, you're so lucky, Cassie. You get to go home to the orphanage with no nagging parents.
I just smiled at my friends when they said things like that. They would never understand if I told them that I was jealous they had a mom nagging at them or that I wished that I could swap places with them. Yes, I'm lucky, I guess.
You are so lucky. I bet the minute I walk through my door, my mom will be complaining about something.
As I walked home after school, I thought about what my friends had said. If only they knew that when I walk in the door, no one will even notice I'm home. Never mind ask me to help out with chores or anything. But for once, I was wrong, because as soon as I stepped into the orphanage, the caretaker came running over to me.
Cassie, a letter has come and it's addressed to you.
Really? Oh my God, that's so exciting. Where is it?
I put it in your room, on your bed.
I ran straight upstairs to my room. I had never had a letter before. I wondered who it could be from. I went into my room, grabbed the letter off the bed, and tore it open. As I began reading, my heart started beating faster and faster and my jaw fell in shock. "We want to meet you. Please don't tell anyone about this letter. Just come to the park at 2 o'clock. We will be waiting for you." It was signed, Your Parents. As I read the letter over and over, my hands started shaking with nerves and excitement. Finally, the day has come. I'm going to meet my parents. I could hardly sleep that night. I kept on thinking about what I would say to them when I saw them. In the morning, I took ages deciding what to wear. I really wanted to look my best when I met them. Just before 2, I set off for the park. But things at the park didn't go at all how I had imagined. For a start, when I arrived, my parents were nowhere to be seen. Every time I saw a couple walking towards me, I would wonder if it was them, but each time, they just walked straight past me. I was beginning to give up hope when all of a sudden, someone grabbed me from behind. I tried to scream, but they put their hand over my mouth.
Keep quiet if you know what's good for you.
I was petrified. I heard a car coming towards us. It stopped beside me, and the next thing I knew, they were bundling me inside. Who are you? What do you want with me?
It doesn't matter who we are. It's who we work for that's important.
What do you mean?
We work for your rival modeling agency. You are putting us out of business with the work you're doing.
But what can I do?
You can quit working for them and come and work for us, or else.
The man stared at me, a menacing look on his face.
And one more thing. If you ever tell anyone about this, we'll make sure you never have a pretty face again.
I had never been so scared in all of my life. I had no doubt that he meant every word that he had said. Okay. You don't need to worry. I will quit my job and come to work for you.
That's a good girl.
So that's what I did. As soon as I got back to the orphanage, I called the agency and told them I was quitting. They tried to persuade me to stay with them, but I didn't listen. The following day, I started working for the other company. I didn't really like working for them. They treated me even worse than my original agency. I had to work so many hours, starting at 6 a.m. and working late into the night. The only thing I was happy about was the pay was good. They had contacts with all the best companies, and I soon began to appear in every magazine and on every street corner. I had been working for them for a couple of months when I got a phone call from them.
Cassie, you've really hit the big time now.
What do you mean?
So you haven't seen it yet?
Seen what?
Your face is on a billboard in Times Square, New York.
I gasped. Are you serious? Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I just had to see it for myself. So I grabbed my coat and ran to the subway. When I walked out of the station into Times Square, I saw my face immediately. Well, you couldn't really miss it, could you? The billboard was huge. I just stood there staring at myself. I looked beautiful. But then I noticed the sadness in my eyes. Everyone sees my beauty, but no one can see how I'm feeling inside. As I stood there staring at it, I suddenly noticed a couple standing near me. They were staring at the billboard too. I walked over and stood beside them. When they turned to look at me, something inside me made me gasp out loud. They looked so familiar. It was like I knew them. She was so pretty, and he was handsome too. When they caught my eye, they looked shocked. It was as though they recognized me or something. But instead of approaching me and asking for my autograph as most of my fans did when they saw me, they turned the other way and took off running. Well, that's a bit weird. I was really confused and felt like I needed an explanation, so I decided to try to catch up with them. I ran as fast as I could in the direction that they had gone. I was about to give up when I suddenly saw them. They were sitting in a cafe. It almost looked like they were trying to hide from me. I went inside the cafe and straight up to their table. What's going on? Why did you run when you saw me? What happened next came as a big shock. The woman started sobbing her heart out. The man put his arms around her and comforted her. At that moment, I knew. I just knew. Are you my parents? The couple looked at each other in shock. Then they turned to me and nodded.
Yes, we are.
I can't believe it. Why did you run? Don't you want to get to know me?
It's hard to explain.
Of course it's not going to be easy, but don't you think I deserve an explanation?
I suppose you do.
How could you leave me just because I am pretty?
We didn't have any choice.
Of course you had a choice. I could understand it if you left me because you couldn't afford to look after me properly, or something like that, but just because I was pretty, it doesn't make sense.
Well, maybe if we tell you why, then you will understand why we had to do what we did.
Go on then. What are you waiting for? My parents began to explain to me how it had all happened.
You see, your dad's ex-girlfriend was really jealous that he had such a beautiful daughter with his new wife. She demanded that we put you up for adoption. Otherwise, she was going to kidnap you and we would never see you again.
But that's insane. Why would you do what she said? Why didn't you just go to the police and tell them what she was threatening to do?
You don't understand, Cassie. My ex-girlfriend, well, she's the head mafia boss of a criminal gang that's quite easily the biggest in the country. If we didn't do as she said, we don't know what she would have done to you. Even the police wouldn't have been able to help you. We couldn't take the risk.
I couldn't believe what they were telling me. All my life, I had been waiting to find out the truth. And now that I knew, I was even more confused.
We are so sorry, Cassie. We never meant to hurt you. We love you, but we have to go now.
What? You can't leave now. We have so much catching up to do.
I'm sorry. We can't risk being seen with you.
When I heard my mom say that, rage began to build up inside of me. I felt like I was going to explode. You can't just disappear from my life again. I need to know more. Do you have a photo of your ex-girlfriend? I want to know what she looks like. My mom took a crumpled photo out of her bag and handed it to me.
This is her.
Can I keep this?
I guess so.
Thank you.
We really have to go now.
Okay. I said goodbye to my parents and watched as they walked out of the cafe. There is no way that I'm not going to see them again. I don't care what it takes. When I got home, I sat there thinking about what I could do to help my situation. That's when I came up with my idea. I phoned my agency and asked them if I could have a personal project shoot.
Of course you can, Cassie. It's the least you deserve.
It was the biggest photo shoot I had ever worked on. In it, I made a model video. It started off like any other video. I talked about all the work I had been doing and how I enjoyed it. But then I began telling my own life story about how I had grown up in an orphanage and never known my parents. I told how my parents hadn't wanted to give me up, but they had been forced to by an evil woman. I took out the photo of my dad's ex-girlfriend and showed it to the camera. This is the woman that ruined my life. She stole my childhood from me. If anyone sees her, please report her to the police so she can pay for what she did to me. I made sure that the video was aired everywhere. It was on every TV channel and on billboards in every town and city. Soon, everyone would know her face and know what she had done to me. I felt sure that it wouldn't take long for someone to recognize her and let the police know. But days went by and I didn't hear anything. Then one evening, I was sitting watching TV and I got a message from my dad.
You have to leave now. She's coming for you.
I was just about to message my dad back when I heard a knock at the door. I went to answer it. When I saw who was standing there, my blood ran cold and my heart sank. It was my dad's ex-girlfriend, and she didn't look happy. If you want to see part 2 of my story, then get this video to 30,000 likes.